at ligtas na araw mga kababayan.
Pag-uusapan natin ang iba't ibang isyung hinaharap ng ating lipunan sa cyberspace. Welcome to CyberChat and be a Cyber Guardian.
How are you today, Alan?
I'm good, Kath. Thanks.
Finally, natuloy din tayo sa ating first ever television show on cybercrimes.
Oo nga. But let us first acknowledge that CyberChat was made possible through the efforts of the Cyber Guardians PH, a coalition of private organizations, NGOs, and various government agencies.
That's right, Alan. In fact, the organization where I belong, International Justice Mission or IJM Philippines, is part of the Cyber Guardians PH at makakasama natin in the succeeding 12 episodes of CyberChat, the other members of the Cyber Guardians PH Core.
Tama. Pero dito muna tayo ngayon sa ating unang episode, Human, Hindi Laruan. This is about the most shocking and depressing cybercrime confronting the Philippine society today, the online sexual abuse and exploitation of children, or the OSAE.
Nakakalungkot pero nangyayari talaga. Mga kaibigan, panoorin po natin ito.
Magbaba daw ako at saka magbukaka daw ako at saka igaganon ko lang sarili ko. Maputi lang po siya pero may balibo siya. Simula po ako sa show na 7 years old. Tatlo lang. Sarili ko, ako lang po ang binili ko ng pagkain. 300 yun. Hindi yun alam ni mama ko. Nagagalit po ako at saka gusto ko nakalimutan. Ayoko po yun. No. Talagang namimiss ko talaga mama ko. Ay, pamilya. Dinalaw na po ako nung dati. Sana po madalaw na kami at saka makasama ko na pamilya ko. Magbuo na kami lahat.
Grabe yung nangyari kay Lorna.
Oo nga.
Ang pinagdaanan ni Lorna ay hindi kailanman dapat maranasan ng kahit sinong bata.
Imagine mo yung kapitbahay mismo yung perpetrator.
Oo nga eh. Alam kaya ng mga magulang to na kapitbahay ng biktima sa anak nila?
Yun nga, yun ang dapat nating malaman. Sa bagay, dyan naman natin mga law enforcement para masundan ang investigasyon nila. Napakabigat na usapin. Kaya dapat lamang talagang bigyan natin ito ng atensyon at pagsusuri.
Nahirapan ba talaga ang nagtutulak sa mga sariling magulang at kamag-anak sa online sexual abuse and exploitation ng sarili nilang mga anak? O ang mga ganitong pangyayari ba ay nagpapakita lamang ng patuloy na pagkasira ng moralidad ng ating lipunan?
You know, Ka, I have this question in mind that has been bothering me for a long time. Has ICT, or the information and communications technology, really improved our lives?
Dudugtungan ko yung tanong mo ha. Or has it created social isolation and privacy breach, causing other serious problems like cyberbullying?
Na sinasabing leading cause of depression, eventually resulting to suicide attempts or suicide among the youth. Nakakalungkot at nakakabahala ito dahil sa rising incidence of suicide sa mga kabataan.
These are the questions that we will be probing in each episode with our guests as they have witnessed how online sexual abuse and exploitation of children and cyberbullying impacted its survivors.
Through CyberChat, we also aim to showcase possible solutions or programs to combat these serious online threats.
Base sa mga opinyon at pananaw ng ating mga guests at televiewers.
Kaya nga, samahan niyo po kami, mga ka-Cyber Guardians.
Dito sa TV Maria and simultaneously streaming sa TV Maria YouTube channel at website.
You can also check out CyberChat Facebook as we will upload the episode per segment so you can join the discussion.
So, let us welcome our guests and resource persons na tutulungan tayong maintindihan ano ba itong online sexual exploitation and abuse of children or OSAIC na ito.
Our first guest is Attorney George Orta II, Assistant Secretary in charge of Interagency Council Against Trafficking or IACAT. ASIC Orta was recently appointed by DOJ Secretary Guevara as a member of the Interim Oversight Committee over the Bureau of Corrections.
Attorney Angeline Medina, State Counsel from the Department of Justice, Office of the Cybercrime.
Police Major Michael Bertudazo, the Team Leader, Internet Crimes Against Children Center, or IACC, at the Philippine National Police Women and Children Protection Center, or the PNP WCPC.
And Aaron Steps, Legal Attaché in Manila, United States Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI.
Sa ating pong pagbabalik, ay masusin nating pag-uusapan ang online sexual abuse and exploitation of children.
Welcome back to CyberChat. Good day, ASIC Ortha.
Good day, Kat, Alan, at sa inyong mga manonood.
ASIC Ortha, for the better understanding of our televiewers, maaari niyo po bang ipaliwanag kung ano ang kahulugan ng online sexual abuse and exploitation of children or OSAIC? At ano po yung mga iba't ibang uri nito? How and where do these incidents usually happen?
Ang online sexual exploitation or OSAIC na binanggit mo kanina ay isang uri ng trafficking. Sa Pilipinas, meron tayong tinatawag na trafficking in persons. At basically, trafficking, for it to constitute trafficking, there are three key elements. One is the act, kagaya ng harboring, transporting, hiring, etc. Second is the means. How did you do that? Did you do it through deceit? Was there violence? Was there intimidation, etc.? And the third is the purpose. And we only have one purpose, that is exploitative purpose, except that there are different kinds of exploitative purposes like sexual exploitation, labor exploitation, organ trafficking, etc. So, dahil ang pinag-uusapan natin ay bata, yung pangalawang sinabi ko kanina na means, that will become irrelevant. So, hindi na natin kailangan ng means. So, what we now need are the acts and purpose para mag-constitute na trafficking. Binanggit mo na online. Bakit siya naging online? Because we use the internet. So, halimbawa, yan ang isang naging, sabihin na natin, pag-abuso sa magandang intensyon ng internet. Meron ka lang isang maliit na kwarto, maglagay ka ng isang bata dyan, aabusuhin natin. You could have thousands and millions of audience, both in the Philippines and abroad. Kaya napakadali ang access sa online sexual exploitation, which nakakalungkot na pangyayari dito sa ating Pilipinas. At maraming lugar sa Pilipinas kung saan nangyayari ng sexual exploitation ng mga bata ay nakita natin na yung mga lugar na prevalent ang kahirapan.
So ano yung trabaho ng office niyo para lang sa viewers natin?
Okay. Ako po ay Assistant Secretary sa Department of Justice. Ang isa po sa pinagagawa sa akin, pinatatrabaho ng ating buting kalihim ay tulungan sa pag-supervise yung tinatawag natin na Interagency Council Against Trafficking. Marami po itong miyembro, ahensya ng gobyerno, at bukod po doon, meron din kami member na NGOs, tatlo po yun. And the IACAT is chaired by the DOJ and co-chaired by the DSWD. In fact, yung organisasyon ni CAT na IJM ay miyembro kasi nga isa sa tatlong NGOs. Ang IACAT, gaya ng pangalan, it's an interagency. So we develop policies on how we could address all of these problems that we are facing regarding trafficking. At in fact, online sexual exploitation is one of the main focus of IACAT nitong taon na to. probably until next year. Kaya nga, naging maganda yung inyong napili na human, hindi laruan. Yan din yung ginamit ng iyakan. Nung nag-launch kami last July 2019, during the tinatawag natin World Day Against Trafficking. Yan yung parang may naka-team natin.
Thank you, Asik Orta.
Thank you, Asik Orta.
In 2017, 45,000 reports were submitted. In 2018, 600,000.
We saw in that video that Special Agent Christian Ibasco of the DOJ Office of Cybercrime was very emotional and so frustrated at how Osai's situation has worsened.
He cited that there were around 600,000 online sexual abuse and exploitation of children cases in 2018 based on the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, or NCMEC. Grabe ito. This is really horrible. 1,200% increase from 45,000 plus OSAE cases in 2018.
Tama ba ito, Attorney Medina? Can you please explain ano ba itong National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, or NCMEC? Ito ba ay puro online sexual exploitation cases involving Filipino children lamang? At ano-ano bang klaseng online sexual abuse and exploitation cases ang mga ito?
Tama po yan, there has been a high rise in the NCMEC reports that the Department of Justice Office of Cybercrime has been receiving. So for 2017, nakatanggap tayo ng around 42,363 reports.
Wow.
And for 2018, tulad nga ng sinabi nyo, there was a close 600,000. Specifically, ang natanggap natin was 521,012 NCMEC reports.
That's bothering, no?
Yes. So ano nga ba itong mga NCMEC cyber tip line reports na natatanggap natin, no? So these are reports of suspected online child sexual exploitation that were reported by electronic service providers and the public sa NCMEC. NCMEC is a non-governmental organization in the US. So, itong mga reports na to, ni-report ng public and electronic service providers to NCMEC. And it involves nga the suspected online sexual exploitation. And the DOJ, Office of Cybercrime, as the point of contact of the NCMEC, we have access to their VPN. So, nakikita namin itong mga cyber tip line reports na merong Philippine Nexus.
So may technology platform ba yun?
Yes,
Sharing
you receive
information.
emails, yes.
Galing.
So, ang nare-receive lang natin would be those cyber tip line reports that have Philippine Nexus. Anong ibig sabihin ng Philippine Nexus? It's either the offender or the victim is in the Philippines.
Okay.
Suspected offender and the victim.
So that's
or
a
the
good
victim.
point. Let me cut it there. What if the offender is not in the Philippines?
If the offender is not in the Philippines, but it is suspected that the victim is in the Philippines, papasok pa din yung report
papasok
sa
pa
amin.
din.
We would receive the report. But of course, there are isolated cases that reports are mistagged. So the nexus is not in the Philippines, but we receive it. So we communicate with NCMEC and inform them that there's a mistagging.
Okay.
And I think magugulat kayo, no, na we call it just suspected cases of online sexual exploitation or sexual abuse because minsan there are innocent posting. For example, a mother would post the naked picture of her child. So we would look at it as kasi hindi naman nila alam whether this is this intentional, was this innocently posted. So we also receive these types of reports. So these reports, when we would open it, it includes the distribution or sharing of videos and images of sexual exploitation or shows children and performing sexual acts. We also receive reports of conversations where the contents was there's an adult luring a child to perform sexual acts
So
or
after
send
you receive the
videos.
report, where do you give the report?
Actually, I'm really interested to know what do you do with the reports that you
Yeah,
generate
correct.
from NICMIC?
We have agents coming from the IACAT. So these IACAT agents, they work as analysts. So they download the contents of the report, and they check them, they make preliminary investigation. So if they see that really it involves an online child sexual exploitation case, we would refer them to the PNP, WCPC, or the NBI for more further investigation, and of course, the identification and rescue of victim. Aside from that, we would, if from the conversation in the NICMIC reports, there is a planned travel, for example, of a foreigner going here to the Philippines to perform sexual abuse or sexual exploitation, we would then communicate with the Bureau of Immigration, and we would request for the blacklisting of this person.
So maybe now we can ask our next guest from the Philippine National Police Women and Children Protection Center the total number of online sexual exploitation cases received by your officer last year. At ano po ang mga profile ng mga children na suspected victims?
Last year po, I will not be mentioning how many reported cases of suspected online sexual exploitation of children. I'll just mention the accomplishment that WCPC had in the past year. So last year, meron tayong nakandak na 33 operations nationwide of online sexual exploitation of children. Meron tayong na-rescue na 113 individuals, and majority of these are minors. And naka-arrest tayo ng 49 suspects, and there are certain foreign nationals that involved in this.
Well, ang dami nga niya nahuli, based on that report by Major Bertudaso,
113
talagang gumagawa ng kanilang trabaho ang WCPC, of course with the coordination of DOJ and IACAT. So that's what we call the whole of government approach. Right? And we can solve anything. Kahit anong problema yan, basta nagtutulong-tulong ng gobyerno, ay pwedeng malutasan ang mga ganyang problema.
Collaboration really is the key para malutasan ang problemang masakit na ito.
Ang mga biktima ng online sexual abuse at exploitation ay mga batang wala pa sa hustong edad to take care and protect themselves. How does the PNP WCPC currently protect high-risk children from online abuse and exploitation?
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for that question. Let me just, give you a background kung paano nagsimula ang WCPC in fighting this type of crime.
Yes.
Now, in 2015, when WCPC mandate was expanded, that was the time that, nag-start pag-imbestiga ang WCPC about this online sexual exploitation of children in support of the International Justice Mission. And then the following year, nag-create ang Women and Children Protection Center ng isang small unit within that center. Tinawag yan na Internet Crimes Against Children. So, ang ginagawa po nito, nag-iimbestiga po ng mga cases of OSEC. So these are basically coming from our foreign law enforcement counterparts.
Okay.
So that's how we start the
So
investigation.
international partners, ano?
Yes.
And we also need, because internet is borderless, so we need international partners as well.
The nature of the crime is transnational.
Yes.
Kaya kailangan ng cross-border cooperation.
Ang galing, ano? Ang
Galing.
na-solve.
Para po sa ating mga manonood, sir, maaari niyo bang pakipaliwanag kung ano naman ang coverage ng office niyo, ang Philippine Internet Crimes Against Children Center?
Now, bago na-create itong Internet Crimes Against Children Center, nakita kasi ng foreign law enforcement counterparts natin na maganda ang ginagawa ng law enforcement, ng PNP at saka ng NBI when it comes to fighting this type of crime. So, nakita nila na kailangan ng suporta. Not just ng local but also international, kasi this type of crime is a global one. So nag-create sila ng isang center, tinatawag na Philippine Internet Crimes Against Children Center, at ang founding partners dito ay yung Australian Federal Police, and National Crime Agency ng United Kingdom, and also International Justice Mission.
Oh, you're
And-
always
Yes.
Dalawang law enforcement ang may hawak nito. Yung Philippine National Police Women and Children Protection Center at saka yung National Bureau of Investigation Anti-Human Trafficking Division.
Okay, okay. Alam mo, napakahalaga at komplikadong usapin ito. But anyway, let's just pause for a break. When we return, let's talk about the rescue operations of the victims.
Yes, Alan.
Let us learn more about what happens during the rescue. Today, we have with us Mr. Aaron Steps from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Legal Attaché in Manila. Hi, Aaron.
Good day.
Good day, Aaron.
Good day.
For our televiewers, can you please describe how the US FBI worked with the Philippine law enforcement and what's the extent of this collaboration?
I am a representative of the FBI here in the Philippines, and my role here is liaison. So I work very closely with the PNP and NBI and BI to exchange information on investigations and subjects of mutual interest. That sometimes, as Major Virtuoso mentioned, we will notice a subject in the United States who is reaching out to potential victims here in the Philippines. We will come to the WCPC with that information. We will pass it and we will work with the PNP or NBI to develop information and evidence on that subject so that he or she may be prosecuted either in the United States or in the Philippines. Similarly, sometimes the Philippines law enforcement comes to us and identifies a subject in the United States, in which case we will work very closely with them to ensure that the information and evidence that they need that is located in the United States, whether it be interviews of witnesses or subjects or records that are controlled by a U.S. service provider, are collected in a manner that lets them be presented in court, again, either here in the Philippines or in the United States.
So you are sharing information between the law enforcement of the PNP and the FBI
Yes,
to solve specific problem of child exploitation.
correct.
And this happens beginning case build-up by the Philippine National Police. You will enter the picture.
Well, again, we're a liaison role. I have law enforcement
Yeah.
powers in the United States, but I do not here. So what we do here is provide the information and evidence that we have to the PNP or the NBI. They will work the cases here in the Philippines. We will coordinate very closely because many times you will see that there are multiple subjects and multiple victims, some of which will be located in the Philippines, some of which will be located in the United States.
Correct.
So that we'll coordinate our investigations so that we can make take the appropriate law enforcement action at the same time, both in the Philippines and the United States, to ensure that everybody who warrants it is prosecuted.
So you're only concerned with the victims from the U.S. or any other country?
This, as the Major mentioned earlier, this is obviously a global problem.
Yes.
This happens everywhere.
Correct.
And again, my role here, because I'm a U.S. law enforcement officer assigned to the Philippines, that is my concern. That is the focus of my efforts. But we do work on multinational teams, as Major Virtuoso mentioned. The PICAC has Australian and United Kingdom law enforcement officers associated with it. We work very closely with them. We will work with any nation of goodwill that wishes to confront this problem. The problem sometimes, and again, we focus on what's here in the Philippines, but the same subjects will often travel to multiple countries to victimize children in multiple places.
You know, Kap, cooperation is very important. Especially cybercrime is borderless. You know, and this kinds of crime, human trafficking, is also borderless.
So Aaron, aside from sharing the lead or intel that you have with the local law enforcers of the Philippines, what other forms of support do you extend to them?
We offer, at times, we offer training. We also host and participate in conferences. We are an agency that learns quite a bit from our partners here in the Philippines, and so we will sometimes bring Philippine officers back to the United States to talk to our agents and law enforcement partners in the United States. One of the things that is different about the U.S. and the Philippines is we have a very large number of law enforcement agencies in the U.S. Whereas here you have the PNP and NBI and VI. We have approximately 18,000 law enforcement agencies in the U.S.
Wow.
So one of the things that we do is when either a Philippine prosecutor or a Philippine law enforcement is looking for assistance, regardless of where it is in the United States, we can become their first point of contact, identify the appropriate law enforcement agency in the U.S., and connect the two agencies. And then if further help is needed from the FBI, we will do so. Otherwise, we will allow the two agencies to work together.
So after the perpetrators of online sexual exploitation are traced or arrested, you are still there to work with the local law enforcers.
Correct. We work with either on our own cases or with investigations with other law enforcement agencies in the United States or with Philippine law enforcement. We work from the moment we identify either the victim or the subject through the successful prosecution and, if necessary, the appeal. So we're there for the whole life cycle of the case.
But Aaron, we're also curious to know, what about the foreign perpetrators, the ones coming from your country? If they get arrested, what happens next?
That depends on the specifics of the case. There are laws in the United States that make it illegal to travel from the United States to another country, such as the Philippines, and engage in illicit sexual activity. If someone does that, they can be prosecuted in the United States. Obviously, it is against the law here in the Philippines for someone to come here and sexually abuse a child. And so what we will do is, initially with our law enforcement partners, we will build the best case that we can. And we'll bring all of the information that we can bring, whether it be here in the Philippines, in the United States, or in another country. We'll bring that information together. We will build a case. And then what we'll do is we'll sit down with the prosecutors, hopefully very early in the investigation, but we will sit down with the prosecutors both here in the Philippines, in the United States, and again in whatever third country may be involved.
So you will sit down with me sometimes.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Aaron. Siguro alamin din natin sa ating mga guest, ano ba ang basic responsibilities ng PNP-WCPC, PNP-ICAC, DOJ-OOC? Kung ako ay isang magulang at nabiktima ang aking anak ng online sexual abuse or exploitation, kanino ako tatakbo para i-report ang mga ganitong kaso? Anyone from the guest?
Ang IACAT, meron tayong tinatawag na hotline. And I'd like to promote that hotline. Pakitandaan niyo po, 1343. Okay. So, ulitin ko po, 1343. Yan ang ating action line sa IACAT. Although marami pa rin tayong ibang means, no? Meron tayong Facebook, meron tayong mga email, and PNP recently nakipag-partner with IJM and SMART. We can also send and report cases of online sexual abuse and exploitation of children through that hotline.
Okay. Sa DOJ-OOC naman?
Ang Department of Justice, Office of Cybercrime po ay ang central authority on and it facilitates international mutual legal assistance. We are also the 24/7 point of contact under the Budapest Convention. So if there is a need for immediate assistance coming from other countries and it involves cybercrime such as OSAIC cases, lalapit po sila sa Office of Cybercrime and we can facilitate and connect the relevant agencies para ma-respondihan yung cybercrime. Also, we give legal advice and we promulgate advisories.
Anong hotline number ng DOJ-OOC?
Currently, wala kaming hotline number, but
Telephone number?
they can reach us through our email, cybercrime@doj.gov.ph, or call us through the number of the Department of Justice.
Okay, cybercrime,
And these advisories, are they readily accessible?
Yes, the advisories are readily accessible at the DOJ website.
For the PNP-WCP?
Yes, sir. For the WCPC, meron tayong mga established na women and children protection desk in every police station. So kung ang isang magulang ay kinakailangang i-report yung ganitong mga pangyayari, mga insidente, maaari lang idulog agad dun sa women and children protection desk na kung saan malapit sa kanilang lugar. Or meron din kaming kagaya ng sinabi ni ni Sir Orta na meron kaming na-establish na memorandum of agreement with the telephone company and of course with IJM. Smart. Yes. Meron kaming hotline, OSEC hotline. This is for OSEC suspected cases. So just type lang and OSEC and then space message and then send to 7444 28473. So yun po yung hotline na medyo mahaba.
Tandaan po natin yun.
28473.
28473. Okay. Thank you.
Ano-ano ba ang mga batas ang nilalabag ng usaping ito? Do we have enough existing laws to run after these perpetrators? And what are the corresponding penalties? Anyone from our guests can answer?
Yeah. Among others, we have the law on trafficking. That's Republic Act 9208 as amended. It might also be the act, might also be punishable under Republic Act 7610. This is our child abuse law, and the law on cybercrime, RA 10175. Tama ba? We also have. It's also possible that the act might be punishable under the RA 9775. Correct? That's about
The Anti-Child Pornography Act of 2009.
By the way, si Attorney Kata is a private prosecutor who works with IJM at may personal na karanasan sa pag-prosecute ng mga OSAIC perpetrators. Attorney Kat, anong provisions of the existing laws do you think can be further improved para mas higit na maging enforceable ang batas?
Actually, Alan, ang gusto ko sanang ipaalam sa inyo ngayon ay ang dasal ko, sana mapagpatibay palalo ang mga batas na nagbibigay ng karagdagang proteksyon para sa mga batang biktima. Sana wag na silang piliting pumunta sa korte at tumestigo. Sana ang mga forensic interviewers na lang ang haharap sa hukuman, sila upo sa witness stand, at sila ang maka-cross-examine ng kalaban lawyer. Oo, grabe kasi yung trauma na nadudulot sa kanila. Kaya sana magamit yung maraming child protective measures gaya ng videotape, in-depth disclosure interviews, o di kaya forensic interviews. At sana maging katanggap-tanggap naman ito sa mga korte sa Pilipinas. Sana maging widely accepted ito, admissible as evidence.
Tama. Magbabalik po kami.
Due to shame, fear, and distrust, most children who are victims of sexual exploitation are unable to speak out about what happened to them. Very few understand they have rights and deserve protection. An estimated 72% of children exploited online are under the age of 10. And 7% are infants. they have no voice.
Seventy-two percent exploited online are below 10 years old, and 7% are infants. Some are pre-verbal. Ang pinakabata po ay 3 months old. Kahindi-hindi. Nakakagalit. Parang imposible, pero totoong nangyayari sa ating lipunan.
Ito ba ang lipunang iiwanan natin sa ating mga anak? Is this the kind of society our children deserve?
Para sa closing message ng ating mga guest, what can we do to address online sexual abuse and exploitation of children? Is extreme poverty the root cause of this menace, or perhaps the degradation of the moral fiber of society? What can we do? Ano ang pwede natin gawin ng gobyerno, ng mamamayan? Ase Corta?
Salamat, Alan. Una, yung sa tanong mo kung ano yung mga pwede nating panggawin ng gobyerno at mga mamamayan. Gaya ng mga napag-usapan natin kanina, we saw how much easy is it for people to commit online sexual exploitation, to exploit the children. So it would also require, aside from what you mentioned a while ago, that the whole of government approach, we need all people to be vigilant. Meron ako isang relate sa inyo, parang napakasimpleng halimbawa, concrete example. Meron akong isang dating estudyante. She made a post in the Facebook page. Sinabi niya, meron siyang nakita na isang bata nilapitan ng isang foreigner. Well, and she feels that this child is or would have been a victim of child trafficking. And she tried, when the foreigner left, she tried to talk to the person, but to the child, no? But unfortunately, it was the child who was trying to shoo her away, no? So, but the fact that she has that concern, no? Actually, sabi ko, kung lahat ng tao ganito ka-vigilant, even our tricycle drivers, even our pedicab drivers, those who are, everyone, even in hotels, etc. If we become very vigilant, and if we suspect that something is off, kung ayaw ninyo na kayo mismo yung humuli dahil natatakot din kayo para sa inyong kaligtasan, ilapit po natin sa mga kinaukulan at tutulungan po tayo ng police, NBI, at even the other member agencies ng IACAT. Tutulong po sila lahat para lang masugpo ang human trafficking.
So it's not just the whole of government approach, it's also the whole of society approach.
Yes, in fact, that the whole world should really come together to end human trafficking.
But
Vigilance will serve as a deterrent to
but
the
the
crime.
society needs to be aware also, right? So that they can report ano ba yung krimen na to. Tama po yun, Ase Corta. Maraming salamat. Attorney?
Yes, Alan or Kath. For me, technology is neutral. So it's up to us whether we use it for the positive side or the negative side. So tulad nga ng sinasabi ko din kanina, most of these reports that the Office of Cybercrime are receiving are memes, which involves pictures of children, maybe intentionally uploaded. And then, since it's embarrassing, ginawa nilang meme, naging viral. So I think ang isa dito is yung vigilance nga and education for our parents and the children.
Correct.
Number one, don't overshare sa internet, sa social media.
Yung TMI.
Oo, lalo pati yung mga embarrassing videos or embarrassing pictures. We post today a naked picture of our child just
Seems
because
innocent.
seems innocent just because it's cute. But eventually, we will receive the report na ginawa ng meme. Naging, di ba?
Tama yan.
Naging, gagamitin na lang yan for online child sexual exploitation or abuse. Hindi na
Kumbaga,
natin alam.
don't be part of the problem.
Yes.
Be part of the solution.
Yes. Sa ating bahay pa lang, umpisahan na natin, di ba? Tayong mga magulang, let us be educated on how to really use technology.
Correct. Tama yan.
Thank you.
Mike?
Yes, sir. Sa amin kasi bilang mga investigators at lalo na pag nasa field kami at nakakahuli at nakaka-rescue, the usual profile nitong mga facilitators, itong mga nagbebenta ng mga abuse material sa mga bata, ay mga mahihirap. Walang trabaho. So, yun lang ang nakikitang means of living nila. Kasi mas madali yung pagkuha ng pera. So, ibig sabihin, ang pinaka-target is kahirapan. But, siyempre, hindi naman agad-agad natin ma-resolve yan. So, ang nakikita ko dito na pwede natin idagdag na measure is hindi pa kasi namin na reach out lahat ng schools. Nasabi ko bakit i-involve natin yung schools. Because yung mga victims are in school. So kung ang mga teachers na-impart natin ng na-inform natin about this type of crime, so definitely they will impart this also to the kids. And so siyempre kung ang mga bata ma-inform about this, and then their parents will direct them to do this. So magre-react yung mga bata.
And Aaron, your closing message, please.
I would reinforce what your other guests have said, that it comes down to two things: is one, awareness, and two, if you see something, say something.
Yes.
We often find that people close to either the victims or the subjects of these types of crimes are aware that something is happening. They don't necessarily know what is happening, but they know that there's some sort of problem. And if as soon as they are aware that there's a problem, they reach out to a teacher or DSWD or the WCPC, we can go a long way to stopping the abuse early on, or perhaps preventing it from turning into a hands-on offense in the first place.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you. Napakabilis sa oras. Marami pang dapat talakayin. We open CyberChat with these questions. Ito ba ay dala ng kahirapan na nagtutulak sa mga sariling magulang at kamag-anak sa usahay cybercrime?
O ito ba ay isang tanda ng patuloy na pagkasira ng moralidad ng ating lipunan? What can ordinary citizens like us do? Do we just wait for government to take action? Or do we take action ourselves and be part of the solution to this problem?
Hindi masasagot ang mga katanungan na ito ngayon. Kailangan ng mas malalim na pagsusuri. Kasama kayong mga manonood.
Join us in the succeeding episodes of CyberChat. Sama-sama po nating hanapin ang sagot sa mga katanungan na ito.
And through all of us, we can co-create a safer cyberspace for our children. Be a cyber guardian.